So, hello everyone, and welcome to Wise IAS. In today's lecture, this is the part 2 of topic role of women in Indian society. So, in the previous lecture, we have discussed about the importance, status, and position of the role of women in the Indian society. In this lecture, we are going to discuss some issues and problems and some institutions and the legal framework for the women in Indian society. So you can download the Wise IAS app and can access all the content available. So starting with the today's lecture, we firstly have to discuss about the constitutional provisions for the women in India. The Constitution of India not only grants equality to women, but also empowers the state to adapt measures of positive discrimination in favor of women, to neutralize the socio-economic, political, educational disadvantages faced by them. So basically, the Constitution guarantees equality, and with some reasonable biasness, there is some positive discrimination in favor of women. The major provisions are in the form of fundamental rights, DPSP, fundamental duties, and some other provisions. If we look at the fundamental rights ensure equality before law and equal protection of law, prohibits discrimination against any citizen on the ground of religion, race, caste, or place of birth. They also guarantee equality of opportunity to all the citizens in the matter related to employment. If we look at the Article 14, men and women to have equal rights, it says men and women will have equal rights and opportunities in the political, economic, and social spheres. Article 15, Clause 1 prohibits discrimination against any citizen on the ground of religion, race, caste, sex, or likewise. Article 15, Clause 3 states special provision enabling the state to make affirmative discrimination in the favor of women. Article 16, equality of opportunity in the matter of public employment and opportunities for all the citizens. Article 23 bans trafficking in human and forced labor. So basically, we have five articles. That is your Article 14, Article 15, Clause 1, Article 15, Clause 3, Article 16, and Article 23 in your fundamental rights. If we look at DPSP, it's your Article number 39A, Article number 39D, and Article 42. These three articles directly deal with the role of women. Article 39A at the first states it states that the state shall direct its policy towards securing all the citizens, men and women, equality, the right to means of livelihood. Article 39D, equal pay for equal work for both men and women. Article 42, the state to make provision for ensuring just and human conditions of work and maternity relief. So in this way, DPSP also talk about the role of women. Now the fundamental rights, Article 51A, fundamental duties, sorry, it's Article 51A, Clause E, to renounce the practices derogatory to the dignity of women. For example, the Sati Pratha. Then next is other provision in the Constitution are Article 300A, right of property to the women, 73rd and 74th constitutional amendment, as we discussed in the previous lecture, that talks about the reservation in the local bodies. So next is the topic talking about the legislation for safeguarding women in India. There are many laws. You can see here we have nearly 15 laws in the list that are just enacted for safeguarding the women in India. So basically, you can just correlate. There was a problem that women, the safety of women was in danger. The reputation and the status of position of women was in danger. That is why, because that is why these legislations, these acts were enacted by the parliament for just see, जिस देश में स्त्री को देवी के दर्जे को देवी का दर्जा देकर पूजा जाता है, उस देश में 15 से ज्यादा कानून बना दिए गए उस देवी की रक्षा करने के लिए, उस देवी की सुरक्षा करने के लिए। तो हम एक एक एक्ट मैंने यहाँ पे लिस्ट डाउन करा है, उसके बारे में जानकारी लेंगे। सबसे पहले सती प्रिवेंशन एक्ट 1987 में आया था। द प्रैक्टिस ऑफ सती विच वाज फर्स्ट अबॉलिश्ड इन 1829 वाज रिवाइज्ड एंड मेड इलीगल इन 1887। इट प्रोवाइडेड फॉर अ मोर इफेक्टिव प्रिवेंशन of the commission of sati and its glorification and for the matters connected therewith. Then next is the amendment in the Criminal Act 1983. It made domestic violence as an offense. Rape has also been made a punishable offense. Then next is the Special Marriage Act of 1954. It has been amended to fix the minimum age of marriage at 21 years for males and 18 years for females. The Hindu Succession Act 1956, equal share to daughters from the property of father, while a widow has the right to inherit husband's property. An amendment in this act in 2005 enabled daughters to have equal share in the ancestral properties. The next is Immoral Traffic Prevention Act ITPA. It's of 1986. Suppression of Immoral Trafficking in Women and Girls Act SITA SITA 1956 was amended in 1986. The Act of 1956 was amended in 1986 and renamed at ITPA. SITA was amended and it was renamed as ITPA. It was enacted to prohibit or abolish trafficking in women and girls for the purpose of prostitution. It was amended to cover both the sexes and provided enhanced penalties for the offences involving minors. So next is the Dowry Prohibition Act 1961. It prohibits giving and taking both. Please keep this in mind that giving and taking dowry is a crime, right? Court is empowered to act in his own knowledge or on a complaint by any recognized welfare organization or dowry murder. Indian Evidence Act has also been amended to shift the burden of proof to the husband and his family when bride dies within the 7 years of the marriage. Maternity Benefit Act 1961, an act to regulate. This was an act to regulate employment of women for certain period before the childbirth and to provide for maternity benefit like paid leaves for 6 months. Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1971. It was enacted to legislate abortion in case if fetus is suffering from physical or mental abnormality. In case of rape and unwanted pregnancy within 12 weeks of the gestation period and between 12th to 20th week, if the pregnancy is harmful for the mother or the child born would be severely deformed. Indecent Representation of Women Prohibition Act 1986. This act prohibits indecent representation of women through advertisements on its publication, writings, or paintings and figures, or in any other manner and for matters connected therewith. Then next is Domestic Violence Act 2005 का. It seeks to the domestic violence in all forms against women and make it a punishable offense. Then next is Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2013. This was enacted in backdrop of Delhi 2012 gang rape. This act was passed amending the CRPC, the Code of Criminal Procedure. The new law has provisions for increased sentence for rape convicts, including life term and death sentence, besides providing for stringent punishment for offences such as acid attack, stalking. Voyeurism was made an offence through, though the government has amended various sections of the IPC, Indian Penal Code, and the Criminal Procedure Code, the Indian Evidence Act, and the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act. प्यार से हम इस एक्ट को POTA पोटा भी कहते हैं. The next is the Maternity Benefit Act 1961 अमेंडेड इन 2017 में ये इस एक्ट को अमेंड किया गया था. ये रेगुलेट करता है एम्प्लॉयमेंट ऑफ वुमेन इन सर्टेन एस्टैब्लिशमेंट्स फॉर सर्टेन पीरियड बिफोर एंड आफ्टर द चाइल्ड बर्थ एंड प्रोवाइड्स फॉर द मैटरनिटी एंड सर्टेन अदर benefits. The next is Equal Remuneration Act of 1976. It provides for the payment of equal remuneration to both men and women. यानी कि काम पे जो व्यक्ति काम करेंगे, चाहे वो मैन हो चाहे वीमेन हो, दोनों को बराबर का अधिकार है सैलरी लेने का, बराबर सैलरी मिलेगी, सेम वर्क और वर्क ऑफ अ सिमिलर नेचर. It also prevents discrimination on the ground of sex against women in recruitment and service conditions. Then the next act is Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Prevention and Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2017. This act provides protection to women from sexual harassment at all workplaces, both in public and private sector, whether organized or unorganized. Then next is the preconception and prenatal diagnostic techniques Prohibition of Sex Selection Act 1994. The act prohibits the sex selection before or after the conception and prevents the misuse of prenatal diagnostic techniques for sex determination leading to female ferticide. बेसिकली गर्भपात कराने के लिए ये जो चीज़ करी जाती थी, फॉर एग्जाम्पल आफ्टर कंसेप्शन स्कैनिंग वॉज डन एंड इफ अ चाइल्ड इज मेल तो उसको रख लिया जाता था, अगर इफ द चाइल्ड इज फीमेल तो उसको अबॉर्ट कर दिया जाता था. ये जो स्कैनिंग का प्रोसेस है, दिस इज अ मेडिकल रिक्वायरमेंट, पर उसमें सेक्स डिटर्मिनेशन ना हो उसको रोकने के लिए ये एक्ट जो है वो लाया गया था. The next is your National Commission for Women. The National Commission for Women was set up as a statutory body in 1992 under the National Commission for Women Act 1990. तो बेसिकली NCW जो है, नेशनल कमीशन फॉर वुमेन जो है, ये सेटअप किया गया था 1992 में. तो statutory body Commission for Women was set up as a statutory body in 1992 under the National Commission for Women Act 1990. 1990 में एक एक्ट आया था, 1990 में एक एक्ट आया था और स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी 1992 में बना दिया गया था. प्रोटेक्ट एंड प्रमोट द इंटरेस्ट एंड सेफगार्ड द राइट्स ऑफ वुमेन. तो बेसिकली फंक्शंस हम इस एक्ट के देखें तो फंक्शंस में सबसे पहला फंक्शन है इट टू प्रोटेक्ट एंड प्रमोट द इंटरेस्ट एंड सेफगार्ड द राइट्स ऑफ वुमेन. टू द नेक्स्ट फंक्शन इज टू स्टडी ऑल द मैटर्स related to the constitutional and legal safeguards provided for women, to review existing legislations and suggest amendments if necessary. Then next is to look into the complaints and take notice of the causes involving deprivation of women and to provide support either in the way of legal or otherwise to helpless and needy women. Then next is to recommend the government play an active role by incorporating a competent of organizing in all government schools, projects, schemes for the poor, to promote organization of women at safeguard organization of women at a broader level. Major functions of अगर हम NCW के बोलें तो मेजर फंक्शंस इनके हैं टू इन्वेस्टिगेट एंड एग्जामिन ऑल दी मैटर्स रिलेटिंग टू दी सेफगार्ड्स विच वुमेन आर प्रोवाइडेड अंडर दी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, टू मेक रिकमेंडेशंस फॉर इफेक्टिव इम्प्लीमेंटेशन ऑफ द सेफगार्ड्स टू सेंट्रल एज वेल एज दी स्टेट गवर्नमेंट, to review the legislations related to women and to points on shortcomings on these legislatives, to inquire into the complaints and take suo motu action on such cases, It can also inspect any jail, remand house, women's institution, or any other place of custody where women are kept as prisoners. Then next is to work towards women right and women empowerment. अब अगर हम बात करें what are the parts of NCW? The NCW, you can say, is a toothless tiger. NCW is a toothless tiger. That means to say the parts of NCW are the parts are given to NCW, but these parts are not sufficient enough to properly make it functional. So basically, we are now just going to discuss the parts of NCW. The powers of NCW, it is vested with the power to regulate its own procedure. अपना procedure ये खुद select करेंगे. The commission, while investigating any matter or inspecting into any complaint, has all the powers of a civil court, like a civil court in trying a suit, and in particular in respect of the matters which include the summoning and enforcing the attendance of any witness, any person from any part of India, and examining him on oath, requiring the discovery and production of any document, receiving evidence on affidavits, requesting any public record from any court of office, issuing of summons or examination of a witness and any documents. Any other matter which the commission or the president may determine. The National Commission for Women, as we earlier said, it has given some powers, but these powers are not this much sufficient to make it properly functional. Then it's National Institute of Public Cooperation and Child Development, NIPCCD. So we just in brief, we are going to discuss the objectives. For discussing the objectives, firstly we just have to know what is the institution about. It is an autonomous organization under the Ministry of Women and Child Development. So it comes under the Ministry of Women and Child Development. The major objectives of this institution can be, it could be to develop and promote voluntary action in social development through training and capacity building of the government and non-government functionaries. So the very first objective is to promote the voluntary action. The next is to take the comprehensive view of women and child development and develop and promote the program or in pursuance of the national policy of children. Then next is to develop measures for coordination of the governmental and voluntary action in social development. So the next is Rashtriya Mahila Kosh. राष्ट्रीय महिला कोष को एस्टैब्लिश किया गया था गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया के द्वारा मार्च 1993 में एज एन ऑटोनमस बॉडी अंडर द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ वुमेन एंड चाइल्ड डेवलपमेंट. इट वाज रजिस्टर्ड अंडर द सोसाइटीज रजिस्ट्रेशन एक्ट ऑफ 1860. The operating model currently followed by Rashtriya Mahila Kosh is that of a facilitating agency wherein Rashtriya Mahila Kosh provides loans to NGOs, MFIs, termed as intermediary organizations which on lend to self-help groups of women. In addition to Rashtriya Mahila Kosh also has appointed nodal agencies and franchises for furthering of its objectives of reaching out to the women and beneficiaries without easy access of microcredit for income generating activities. So in this way, the Rashtriya Mahila Kosh operates and functions. Let me grab a sip of water. So, thank you. Then next is initiatives to improve female work participation. There are many initiatives. We can just, I have just mentioned here the major points. You can frame the explanation in your way, but we will discuss each and every point in a fair amount of detail here. There are many initiatives to improve the female work participation. There is a need to improve the female work participation. The very first here is the very first here is safety of women at workplace. The sexual harassment of women at workplace. Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act of 2013. I repeat, the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace, Prevention, Prohibition, and Redressal Act of 2013 covers all women, irrespective of their age or employment status, and protects them against sexual harassment at all workplaces, both in public and private sector, whether organized or unorganized. Working Women Hostel to promote the availability uh, safe, conveniently located accommodation for working women with daycare facility for the children. You can say creches, like wherever possible in urban and semi-urban or even rural areas where employment opportunities for women exist. So by doing this, we can improve the female participation at work. The women have given these kind of facilities at the workplace. So the next is promote of safe and affordable. That it was about promote of provision of safe and affordable accommodation. So, if we provide safe and affordable accommodation to working women hostels have to be established for this purpose. We can improve the female participation at work. Next is female entrepreneurship. To promote female entrepreneurship, the government has initiated many schemes like Mahila e Hath and Stand Up India, or you can say the Mudra Yojana. Likewise, Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana was a major step. It extend a reduction of 2 5 BPs in its interest rates in MFIs and NBFCs who are providing loan to women entrepreneurs. Next is Stand Up India scheme. It aims at promoting entrepreneurship among women and scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Mahila e Hath, it's an online marketing platform for women and women self-help groups. Rashtriya Mahila Kosh, as we discussed earlier. Then next is Prime Minister's Employment Generation Program, PMEGP. Women entrepreneurs are provided 25% to 35% subsidies for the project set up in urban and rural areas, respectively. The next is this. Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana, National Rural Livelihood Mission, DNRLM, seeks to reach out, and you can say 8 to 9 crore rural poor households and organize one women member from each household into affinity based women self-help groups and federation at village and higher levels. NRLM through Mahila Kisan through Mahila Kisan Sashakti Pariyojana, you can say MKSP, is promoting and student no it provides the facility to the students also, and in facilitating and scaling up the successful small scale projects that enhance women participation and productivity in agriculture and lead activities like. The next is Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana. At least 30% of the budget allocation need to be earmarked for the women beneficiary farmers. Then next is your Swayat in an initiative. Swayat is an initiative to promote startups, women and youth advantage through you can say transactions and on government and marketplace level. And the next is Stree Swabhiman. Sanitary napkin micro manufacturing units are being set up. at CSCs across India, particularly those operated by the women entrepreneur. Next is Nai Roshni, the economic empowerment and you can say instilling confidence among minority women. So, then next is the initiatives to improve the health of women. There are many initiatives taken. The National Health Mission, it focuses on the health system, strengthening reproductive, material, neonatal, child and adolescent health, RMNCHA, and communicable and non-communicable diseases. Next is Janani Suraksha Yojana JSY. It is under the National Rural Health Mission NRHM and is a centrally sponsored scheme. It aims at reducing material and infant mortality by promoting institutional delivery among pregnant women. Then next is the Integrated Child Development Services. Integrated Child Development Services. Under the umbrella of ICDS, there are many points. You can say many things to be covered. That is Anganwadi services, National Creche services, Pradhan Mantri Mantra Vandana Yojana, Matra Vandana Yojana, Pushan Abhiyan. So, we will discuss them also in a fair amount of detail. The Anganwadi services is for the holistic development of the children under the age of 6 years and pregnant and lactation going period going women. National Creche Services, it aims to provide a safe place for children of working mothers while they are at work. Pradhan Mantri Matra Vandana Yojana, providing partial compensation for the wage loss in terms of cash incentives so that the women can take adequate rest before and after the delivery of first living child. The next is Poshan Abhiyan. It is to reduce the stunning undernutrition, low birth weight, and anemia among children and women, adolescent girls. The next is Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana. It is to provide some 8 crores of deposit free LPG connection to women from BPL households. The next is Beti Bachao Beti Padhao scheme. Everyone knows about it. It is for the safety and education of women child. The next is an initiative for education skilling and training of women. National Policy for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship 2015 for training and skill upgradation of women in traditional, new and emerging areas to promote women employment in both organized as well as unorganized sector. Deen Dayal Upadhyay Gramin Kaushalya Yojana to bridge the skill gap that prevents India rural poor from competing in modern market. Mandatory coverage of socially disadvantaged group, SC ST के लिए 50%, माइनॉरिटी के लिए 15%, women के लिए 33% है. विज्ञान योजना to encourage the women to pursue science and to create a level playing field for the girls in high school to pursue science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. STEM, you can say science, technology, engineering, and mathematics in their higher education. Support in training and employment program for women. STEP, support in training and employment program for women. The this program in the year 1986 was launched for training and employment for women below poverty line in traditional sectors like agriculture, small scale industries, husbandry, dairying, fisheries, etc., where the women are employed on a large scale. The basic aim was to upgrade the skills of the women for self and wage employment. Then next is the Sukanya Samaridhi Yojana to motivate parents to open account in the name of a girl child to meet the requirements of the higher education expenses. Pradhan Mantri Mahila Shakti Kendra PM MSK sub-scheme under the umbrella scheme of student of these Pradhan Mantri Mahila Shakti Karam Yojana. Then next is Project Cyber Shiksha, Microsoft and Data Security Council of India, in association with the MEITY, have launched the Skilling Women Engineering Graduates to in the field of cyber security. Then next is Nari Portal, to serve as a single window access to the information and services on various women centric schemes and legislation. The Nari Portal was launched. Then next is initiative for the safety of women. Nirbhaya Fund, a dedicated non-lapsable corpus fund for the implementation of initiatives aimed at enhancing the safety and security of women in the country. The sexual harassment electronic box, she box इसको हम कहते हैं, an online complaint management system for registering complaints related to sexual harassment at the workplace by against women, including government and private employees. Once a complaint is submitted in the this sexual harassment electronic box portal, it directly reaches the concerned authority having jurisdiction to take the action in the matter. And next is Swadhar Grah. This scheme aims to provide basic necessities to marginalized women and girls who are living in the difficult circumstances without any economic or social support. Under the scheme, women are provided with emotional support and counseling. The target groups mainly women who are victims of violence or survivors of natural disaster, trafficked women, and women without or having no families. Next is a Sakhi One Step Center, to facilitate the access in one integrated range of services including police, medical, legal, psychological support, and temporary shelter to women affected by violence. Then next is Women Helpline Scheme, to provide 24-hour emergency scheme and non-emergency response to women affected by violence, including sexual offences and harassment both by public and private spheres, including a family, community, or any workplace, etc. Then next is Ujwala, for the prevention of trafficking and protecting the or supporting the rescue, rehabilitation, and reintegration and reparation of the women and child victims of trafficking for commercial sexual exploitation in India. The scheme is being implemented mainly through NGOs to provide direct aid and benefit to victims of trafficking. Cyber crime prevention against women and children, CCPWC, an online cybercrime reporting portal was launched to enable public to report complaints pertaining to child pornography, child sexual abuse, material or any rape or gang rape, imageries, or sexual explicit content whatsoever is available on the internet. So basically, these are the steps which are in relation to the safety of women, the initiatives in relation to the safety of women in India. Then next, we need to discuss some of the previous questions from the UPSC GS mains examination, which were asked. The first one you can see on the screen, is empowering women is the key to control population growth. Discuss. So basically, this question is talking about the women empowerment and the population growth. There is a problem, or you can say two problems in the question. The women is unempowered, and we need to empower the women. The second is the population growth. Firstly, we just have to discuss both these problems in fair amount of detail and establish a connection in the problem, in these two problems. And then we just need to solve the second problem through the first one. By empowering the women, we can control the population growth. We have to justify the statement, right? Then next is, what are the continued challenges for women in India against time and space? So basically, there are some challenges. Undoubtedly, there are many challenges. So very simple and crisp and clear question. Women's movement in India has not addressed the issues of women of lower social strata. Subordinate just substantiate your view. So basically, it's all about the unaddressed issues that are not the issues which are not addressed even after many of the moments. How do you explain the statistics that show that the sex ratio in tribes in India is more favorable to women than sex ratio among scheduled caste? So basically, if you go through the data, every year, if you go through the current data, you will get to know what is the difference. And in many of the tribes, there are many tribes which are women led. So, likewise, you can shape your answer if you are regular in touch with the newspapers or the current affairs. The next is, how does patriarchy impact the position of middle class working women in India? We know the Indian society is a patriarchal society. The patriarchy affects the situation of women uh, to the much extent in India. We have discussed it in fair amount of detail. They discuss the various economic and socio-cultural forces that are driving increasing feminism of agriculture in India. So basically, the if you see in the women employment, many of the women are employed in rural areas. Maximum of them are in the field of agriculture. So you just have to support your answer along with some data. The data you can collect from the various websites or government websites, or keeping in touch with the newspapers. So likewise, you just have to answer these kind of questions are asked in the UPSC GS examination, and you need to just have a basic idea about the topic. You can frame answer very easily if you have the current knowledge also. You can beautify your answer. So this is the technique, this is the way of attempting the question. So this with this lecture, we are done with the topic of role of women in the Indian society, the institutions, the various problems faced by women, and we just can conclude what could be the favorable conclusion. The we can just see the situation of women had changed since independence very rapidly, and there is a big change for now. We are living in a modern society where women and men are considered equal, but still we are lacking behind many countries where the status of women or the position of women in India is not up to the mark where it should be. So, as we discussed in the first lecture, starting with the example, so the situation could only be the best if, while dictating that example, there is nothing awkward, there is nothing odd. So, likewise, we are done with this lecture for today. Thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day. See you in the next lecture with a new topic. Thank you.